Well, welcome, guys. Hopefully this is the last one of these we do in here for a while. It feels like we've had a run of a few of them. But today is a exciting day as we announce the man to my left, Les Snead, as our new general manager. It's been a great process over the past 6 weeks, trying to reshape the leadership on the football side. And when we started this process in January, to think that we'd wind up with the two men sitting to my left here to run our building and to lead us forward was an exciting thought. I didn't know if it was attainable, but as we sit here today, it absolutely was. Les Snead was the first call we made regarding general manager and the last call we made regarding our general manager position. That's a great thought for me. I remember driving home from Rams Park on that Monday night and calling Les and saying, hey, I think this process is going to get started and we'd like to have you be a part of it. And from our first interview, it was clear he was ready to lead our football team and to lead a football team in the National Football League. And I know throughout our time after hiring Coach Fisher, he impressed that upon us as well. The one thing that stood out to me in time as we talked with Les is in his time with the Falcons, he's seen everything. He's been a part of everything a general manager is going to see. He's been part of a big draft day trade. He's been part of an organization that took a player first. He's traded for a Pro Bowler. They've had successful winning seasons after, I don't want to say years of turmoil, but certainly they never had back-to-back winning season. All of a sudden you have 4 straight winning seasons. And that's the sign of someone who can come into a franchise like ours that seeks stability and provide it. And with Coach Fisher on the coaching side and Les overseeing our personnel department, we are set up for the future and for future success. It has been an exciting process for us to discover what the St. Louis Rams can become. And what we envisioned, what was a team that would compete on the field, that was physical and tough, and Coach Fisher can bring that, and a general manager who could bring innovative thinking, a different way of looking at players, a different way of looking at pro personnel at the college scouting process, and bring us to the forefront, the most advanced metrics and scouting ideas in the NFL. And Les is an intelligent thinker, someone who, when you sit down and talk to him, you come away saying, this is not your average scout in the NFL. This is someone who thinks a little bit different, who approaches problem solving in a unique way, and someone who I think will change our personnel environment and our scouting environment. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce Les Snead as the next general manager of the St. Louis Rams.
Thank you, Kevin. I'll start by thanking Mr. Kroenke for this very distinctive opportunity. I want to thank Kevin, Jeff, for inviting me into their partnership. I'm looking forward to that. I will say this was and I said it's a distinctive opportunity because when I started the process, I really respected Mr. Kroenke's paradigm for organizational leadership, the way he sets it up. I really respect Kevin and his intelligence, his knowledge of the business football, and his vision for this organization. And with Jeff, he's a proven winner. He's a proven that he's going to put a competitive football team on the field consistently. So that was a very distinct opportunity that I wanted to take advantage of. I think we have a quarterback here. I think we have some young players here, and I think we have some very good picks in this draft to get this team better, as well as free agency. So that was the opportunity I wanted to take, and I'm glad to be here. I will say this: I'm going to keep this short, at least the introduction part of it, because I know you guys want to get back to Valentine's Day at least, and get to the date. But I will say this: just a quick philosophy. I do want this organization to be an organization that understands how to build, develop, and coach its football team to win division championships consistently. And that's what we're going to do. You're going to hear me say a lot of times that everybody in this building is going to be passionate about winning. Every player, every staff member, every coach. We're going to have a purpose. We're going to understand what we're trying to accomplish and why it works. And then we're going to go thrive. And you'll hear me say that a lot. And so with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Jeff, a question for you. Just how involved were you in the process, and what do you like about that?
Well, I entered the process probably after Kevin had just started, but certainly met with Les together with Kevin for our first time, and we spent a lot of time together. The exciting part about our initial visit and the time we spent was that despite the fact that we both come from two different organizations, a lot of the philosophical things were identical, and it was a fit, it was a match. The way, he has assisted and they've run their personnel department is very similar to what I was used to. So, just really excited about moving forward, about the innovative ideas and where we're going to take this team. So I was very much involved in the process, not only with Les, but some of the other candidates.
You mentioned from the start that one of the things you wanted out, besides talent and qualifications, was someone that you felt you could work with. Obviously, you see that, but just how do you see it?
Yeah, this is the three-man team now, and we're looking forward to it. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that this is a partnership, and we're going to move forward. And we're going to make the right decisions. We're going to make the collective decisions, and in all aspects of this roster.
Yeah, you mentioned innovative. Excuse me? Personally, it's a dream come true. I can tell a quick story. I grew up in a small town in Alabama. I used to skip school back when the draft was held on a weekday, on a Monday. And I would skip school to watch a draft. So personally, to go from, let's call it 7th, 8th grade, skipping school to watch the draft, to be sitting in this chair, to be a steward of this organization, to partner with Kevin and Jeff, that's a personal goal that is I guess, one of 32. So what it means to me, though, from a professional, is after spending 16 years in the NFL, with that experience, I'm ready to come start the process with Jeff to begin building this thing back to where it was. So from that standpoint, that's what it means.
Jeff, you mentioned innovative way of looking at things. Kevin, you said a different way of looking at things. Les, is it possible you can put into words kind of an example of the way you look at things differently?
The way Jeff and I look at things differently?
No,
or?
if you were something you have a different way of looking at things and evaluation or whatever.
It's a dart board.
Yes, I can throw darts better than most.
It's an 8-ball.
Here's what I will say, and I know I can say this: in those 17 years of working in this league, I've seen a lot. I've witnessed, been a part of, and made some good decisions and some not so good decisions. And in all of those experiences, you learn from them. And after 17 years, I think you build a foundation where you're ready to start making some right decisions. And I think also, I'll say this, I've been a part of a lot of, or under a lot of good people. I started in this league under Tom Coughlin. I presently, within about a week ago, was under Thomas Dimitroff, and he was a derivative of Bill Belichick, and both Bill Belichick and Tom Coughlin have, won 5 of the last 10 Super Bowls. So you take from that timeline to now, there's a lot I've learned, there's a lot I've picked up on, and I think those two people and a lot of others are cutting edge, difference-making people in this league, and I've learned a lot from that. I think that's what I shared with Kevin.
There was about 5 weeks between when you were first interviewed and when you were named. What was that time like? That's a pretty long time to wait to see if you had a job.
Oh, it was an easy time. I knew y'all would get it done maybe before spring training, since that's coming up. I will say this: when you go through that process, yes, from a personal standpoint, you go through some ebbs and flows of the interview process. But I do know this: in this league, the season ends, and you start evaluating what just happened and what needs to happen. And in my business, in my role, we're getting ready for player acquisition, which is free agency, which is the draft. So whether I'm with one of 32 clubs, I'm doing the same job. And so that's what I did. I did my day job, and I knew my day job would help me with this opportunity if I was fortunate enough to receive it.
Kevin, this is a two-parter. What stood out about Les to you through the interview process, both interviews? And was there any hesitation on your part as an organization to go back to Atlanta for another team?
The answer to the second part, absolutely not. We went into this process looking for the best candidates, and it's something we discussed at the first press conference in January. you don't always have to do things differently just to get a new leadership. And we talked about it with head coaches, hiring offense, defense, or special teams, or college coaches. To me, you go and seek the best candidates. And after that press conference the first Monday, Les Snead was my first call. And it had no bearing that Billy Devaney had come from the Atlanta Falcons and Les came from the Atlanta Falcons. I think the goal was to find someone who was learning from the best. And I think we have a tremendous amount of respect here for what the Falcons have accomplished the past 4 years, putting something together that was unprecedented in franchise history. But what stood out to me about Les, and I've known Les for many years, is two things. He's got a very easy nature to him that comes probably from growing up in the South, but it hides a lot of wisdom and thinking. And when you sit and have a conversation, it can range from pro players to college players to different philosophies and acquiring talent to how they fit into what it's like to hire at a Fortune 500 company. It's a wide-ranging conversation that is both football and non-football. And you can bring some of those perspectives to our club on how to make this a better organization. Les's duty is to build a great scouting department, great personnel department, and then use that expertise to make us a better organization as we choose players. And to me, there are a lot of different ways you can look at it. It's not just what he's learned at the Falcons, it's what he learned at the Jaguars, but it's also studying model organizations throughout the NFL. This process, for all of us, is an amalgamation of what works in the NFL. There's not one way to win a championship in the NFL. There are a lot of different ways, and we need to learn from each of those. And I was impressed by Les's attention to detail and studying a lot of different ways to win and acquiring players. And obviously, when you look at sitting next to Thomas Dimitroff the past 4 years, he's learned from someone who looks at things a little differently and who I don't want to consider an outsider, but is certainly an innovator. And that's something we were looking at as well. Tom Coughlin's been an innovator. Obviously, Dan Reeves, Ron Hill, Rich McKay, a lot of really respected people in the NFL. And Les has sat and learned from them all. And as you go through this process, you want someone who's got great mentors in the NFL and someone who's learned, and as Les said, you make good decisions, you make bad decisions, you learn how to move on from them. But there was absolutely no hesitation in going back to a place we've hired from before. Our goal was to get it right, and we have that person in Les Snead.
So that's how far where do you think this moves?
Here's what I think. I think we are not far away at all. And now I will say this, I don't think I need to sit up here and talk about it. I think we need to start making very sound, very superior decisions, and we'll stack those, and I think that will lead to success. But I would rather not talk about it, just show you.
Let's give a general philosophy about the players, hiring coaches, draft, free agency, quality,
Okay, I will say this. You mentioned players in draft and free agency. I will say this. I think you get your pillars of your team through the draft. I will say this, though. There's a lot of methods to get players in this league. If you looked at our organization in Atlanta, we traded for a Hall of Fame tight end, and it worked out well for us. We took a player off of another team, one of your rivals' practice squad, who ended up being a starting guard for us, and now he's a starting guard for this organization. Our starting kickers from the UFL. So I think it's up to us to really take advantage of all avenues, and we're going to ask our personnel department, who's ever in charge of those avenues, of managing those avenues, to always be on the lookout to find better players for us. Now, from a standpoint of the player, I do think this is a league where you need to have urgency, you need to have passion, you need to have instincts from an intangible standpoint. I think you need to be competitive. I think you need to want to be a part of something bigger. You want to be a teammate. I think in this league, though, it's an explosive league. It's a league that has space, so I think you got to find guys in a short area that are very, very explosive in that short area.